Hello folks, welcome back to the channel once again. Thank you very much for joining me. You are always most welcome. Well, today, something I think you're going to find genuinely very interesting. If you like Spitfires, and you particularly like the Kotare ones in 1/32 scale, this is the video you've been looking for. So what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about the options for the things that people criticise this kit for. This was a kit that was actually very well received generally. The quality is phenomenal. It has the most superb instructions, frankly the best ever in terms of the way that everything is done. It's wing nut wing standard, and of course because the same staff are producing a lot of this kit. Now, what people didn't like though was they weren't too happy about the lack of any gun bay detail and the lack of any engine. Now this has irked many people. I have to confess I'm one of them. I was a little bit irked by the lack of engine. I felt it was a bit pricey when it came out at retailing at around £100 initially, and it just feels a lot to me when you've got the Tamiya one for another £10–15 with an engine, with a full engine. However, not everybody wants an engine. Kotare have pointed out, I'm not quite sure what's holding them back from doing it. It's never really been explained that, to my hearing, in any detail. I did speak to Richard Alexander about it. He sort of, I wouldn't say avoided the question or anything like that, but he steered me away a little bit and said, well, we just feel it would just add cost to the kit. And I think that a lot of people feel it's a lot of extra time and effort, and they're really aiming for these sort of curbside models with no engine detail. Now, it's been a slow burner, I think, for them, Kotare Spitfires. They were very popular on their initial launch, and I think people are sort of slowly appreciating them more. Personally, I think the quality in the box is outstanding. I've not been that excited by some of the Darrell leg artwork though. I've got to be honest, I was never very warm about this one, even though I've just bought this. I decided a relative of mine had bought one, and I decided to get one at the same time, so I got a pair of them. But I still don't like that artwork. I think it's totally underselling the aircraft. It's just not enough happening in it, and I don't think the colours are. It's almost like a pastiche of a painting of a Spitfire in the Battle of Britain, rather than, you know, like the Roy Cross painting of the same aircraft, which really grabs you straight away. I'm not that impressed with. I wouldn't say I don't like Darrell Legg's work. That would be unfair to him. Some of his artworks I've quite liked, but not the Mark 5B and not this one, the Mark 1 mid. Just don't. Neither of those have done it for me. They're too downbeat, and it's all a bit like a painting from the 18th century, if you know what I mean. It's like Mr. Turner has done this painting. It's got a Turner-esque quality to it, which I don't think suits the subject matter, to be honest. I think it's great for battleships and, you know, HMS Victory and all that kind of thing. Do you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm digressing. That's not what we're here to talk about. I'm not critiquing art. But the issue is the lack of engine. So, I have to be honest with you. I say I've got this. This is my copy, and I've got another copy for a relative of mine who's decided to buy one. What he doesn't know yet, and he will know by the time he watches this video, obviously, and this video has had to be delayed because it's his birthday, and I bought these for a birthday gift, what I'm going to show you today, so I have to be extra careful with it. But I'm sure he wouldn't mind, and he wouldn't object to me sharing this on YouTube with you, because it's really interesting stuff, I've got to say, and well worth a look. And what it is basically is, I'm just going to, I'm not going to open any bags, I'm afraid, on this, but I can just show you very quickly the side of the makeup, if you like, of the kit in terms of how the fuselage is done, where the engine would be, because that sets the tone for what I'm about to show you. So if I can just get that on there and zoom in a bit, you'll soon see. And also, sorry, I'll just have a slight reorganisation here, so I've got a bit more background that's going to be neutral. There we go. So if I zoom this in for you, so here it is. This is the critical area, and on the kits, on all the Spitfires from Kotare, there is no engine. So this is what we're talking about. This area here. So there's no option putting any engine in there. I think they kind of missed a trick. It's a pity they couldn't have had two versions of it really, one with and one without. But anyway, that doesn't matter. Today we're going to address this problem. So at least you know what you're looking at. So you've got that area there, which is it's got the outer panels, the cowls go on it, but it has the sort of inner sort of frame, and that's it. There's no chance of putting any detail in there. So I'm going to zip that back away, just to get it out of the way. And I'm going to show you the sort of options that are out there now, thanks to 3D resin printing. And I think you're going to find this particularly interesting. Now, it isn't cheap, I better warn you. First of all, I'll tell you a little bit about the company concerned. And the company is... The company's called Fischkopp. And they're actually in Germany, in southern Germany. A gentleman called Chris runs the company. I say company. Chris is quite a young gentleman, in fact. And I think this is a bit of a sideline for him because I think he's actually still studying. But he's definitely shown some real flair and ingenuity here. And I think we should talk about it. So first of all, I'm going to show you there's two sets here. As I say, these are actually a gift from my relative, so he doesn't mind me showing this. I think this is definitely going to add something pretty special. So we're going to start with the engine, and it's the Spitfire Merlin engine. If I just pop it around to this side and zoom you in, you're going to see exactly what we got. And this will open your mind as to what you can do with these Kotare Spitfires. So, it's a Merlin Merlin Mark III it is, of course. Mark III version of the Merlin. If I just pop this, I'll just take this tape off, which I should have done already really, because actually it's not that easy with the gloves. Gloves are extra special though, and I'm handling something that's going to be a gift for somebody. So it's a Merlin Mark III engine set, and I am going to just pop that off. I should have done this at the beginning before I started, shouldn't I really? Just pluck it off with my tweezers. Right, and this Tamiya tape is temporary anyway. I'll remove that now completely, get it out of the way. So now what you're seeing here is classic of, should really explain, you know, we're not going to see, it's not like Tamiya or even Kotare. This is basically a cottage industry that's springing up around 3D printing. So we're not going to see something that's very slick and polished. It's a handmade via 3D printing product. And I'm going to have to be extra gentle because there's all sorts of parts in here. We've got to make sure we're very, very careful with them. So let me just get them out piece by piece. They are quite delicate as well, I've got to be very careful. Not least because it's somebody's birthday present. And there are lots of elements to it. There's lots of tissue and foam. Right, I think that's everything. Yes. So, what we have got is, first of all, the main body of the Merlin engine. Now, I'll show you the parts and then I'll show you the instructions that he's provided, which have only just come through to me. He's only just actually created the instructions, in fact. So have a look at this. Now, bear in mind it's got the 3D lattice work all around it, so it looks a little bit odd. But I'm hoping that you'll get a pretty clear picture of what's going on here. So it's a 1/32 scale Type 3 Mark III Merlin, complete with, get a bit closer, complete with all the sort of the plumbing and the ancillary components as well. I've noticed that in transit one or two of these sprue, let's call them sprue bars from the moulding process, they do tend to break off very easily, I think. So we won't worry about that too much, because there's one come off here, but it's not damaged the part in any way. But can you see the kind of detail? It's even got the Rolls-Royce, I'm not sure that's coming out too well on the camera, but the Rolls-Royce nameplate is even actually etched in there as part of the moulding process. And then underneath you can see that you've got the supercharger compressor. At the bottom it's quite hard to see it actually because it's surrounded by all its ancillary components. But it's pretty nice, isn't it, actually? Yeah. There's your V12 Merlin. And he's got some fine detail, especially on things like the exhaust ports. Now you have two options in the way you can display this, and this is where it gets a bit tricky. You can either mount it onto the bulkhead, which is here. You might notice when I zoom in on this, you might notice something that's a bit awry. You can either mount it on the bulkhead and have it as a standalone Merlin engine, or you can mount it into the model. You can mount it to the model, as I'll show in a minute. But if you mount it separately exterior as a separate piece, you need to be aware, this particular one, which I spotted this when I took it out just to check the quality, and I spoke to Chris afterwards, you might just notice that the bottom right, that the support bracket there for the bulkhead, it's actually gone. It's actually come off in transit and vanished. So that's actually broken off. That's just one of these, like I say, they're quite delicate parts. However, not to worry, because, as I will now show you, just show you a bit more detail here. And there's lots of ancillary parts that have got to go on this yet, of course, which I'll explain in a second. But I pointed this out to Chris. Oh, we've got a problem, quality problem, you know. And he said, well, actually, when you read the instructions, and here they are, you need to cut those off anyway. If you want to actually fit this into your Kotare, they have to be removed, those the bit off the bottom of the frame, the brackets basically. They've got to be removed anyway, because it won't go in and fit inside. It's basically the lugs that attach to the spars on the real aircraft, the wing root. But these will not go in situ like you see. They have to be cut off, as it explains there. So that's what it would normally look like, with the 1, 2, 3, 4 brackets. But to make it mount, you have to do a few things. I'm sorry if it's quite small, this. I'm going to zoom any more. A bit more zoom. So what you basically do is the yellow area needs to be thinned down a bit, and you need to cut off, completely remove that front section that I showed you on the model. So I think the trick here is to take your time. You know, it's like measure twice, cut once, I should say. And you will need to be very careful and take your time. Make sure you're not overcutting anything. That gets removed, and then it goes in. Now, in terms of the actual instructions, here they are. These are the ones that have only just come through to me. In fact, see back just slightly. There we go. So you've got basically your propeller shaft, and then you've got this bulkhead with those. It's got the little oil container reservoir on it, and then you've got your radiator. Sorry, it's the oil tank, isn't it? Oil tank underneath, and all these parts you see are included in the kit. Then you've got your main cradle, your engine bearers, which attaches obviously to that big bulkhead. Underneath, of course, you then attach this completed oil tank, and then you bring in your Merlin and you drop it in like so. Then you've got all your plumbing for your cooling system, and that's going to come in with all the piping for the plumbing for the piping for all the cooling area. And then finally your outer frame, which obviously brings this is ultimately for the cowlings to mount onto, and the exhaust goes over the exhausts. And then voila, you have got your engine. Now it doesn't include any exhausts, because you can use the ones in the kit. But there you go, that is the completed assembly of your Merlin engine. Now I'll show you how fine some of these parts are, because certainly some of it is quite remarkable. Ooh, it's one of those things where you're going to have to proceed very cautiously, I think, because these parts are very, very delicate, frankly. So that's our new instructions that have come through. So let me show you the bits you haven't seen. So we've seen those two. Then we've got, this is the engine bearers. Again, it's 3D printed, so there's a lot of lattice work in terms of the way the 3D print has been done to support it. Whoops, I'm trying to get it difficult to hold. Here we go. So here we go. Here's our engine bearers. There we are, complete with the sort of supporting brace. So your Merlin, it's now the right way up. The Merlin goes in, drop it in from above. once you've got to cut all these, cutting all this off very carefully. You've got to take your time because there's a lot of, it's not like a normal kit where there's just 1 or 2 sprue attachments. You've got all these attachments. Got to make sure they're all clean as well. So you must take your time with these things, really have. It's essential. That's from the back looking forward. Nice, isn't it? That's that one. Then we have the cooling jacket for the cooling system that goes around the front, the collar. Around the front, and you can see all the associated plumbing, which they've done. It's done beautifully. Look at that. I do apologise if the focus isn't brilliant, but as we know, it doesn't like resi in this camera, and it's got very low contrast in the lights here. But there's all your plumbing and your cooling that goes around, collar on the front of the engine and down the side. It's really cool, isn't it? That's that one. Then there's the this is that oil tank, goes underneath. And again, we've got lots of rivets on it, rivet detail. Very nice. Isn't that cool? As I'm looking at it here, the image on the camera looks really whited out. It might be a bit bleached out, but you'll have to just take my word for it. It is rather nice. And then finally, we've got all the framework for the mounting framework for all the outer cowlings and panels. So obviously looking at the front, looking backwards, and then you can see where the exhaust apertures are there. Impressive, isn't it? Amazing. Now somebody did talk about this the other day and say that it's worthy of note that because you have got all this cleanup to do, somebody was talking about a new tool on the market, and I can't remember what it's called, but it was basically a cutter, and it was this very high frequency cutter that basically enables you to cut 3D resi. Because I think the only problem you got is that you've got a lot of cleanup on something like that. There's so many contact points, you know, it's going to be really tricky. But the actual design is very good. It looks very clean and accurate. And then here we've got a little bag, some of the extras. And they are including, this is the top. Whoops, careful. This is the top of that oil tank underneath. You can probably tell by the profile in my fingers, hopefully. By the way, sorry about my central heating noise in the background. It is needed because it's quite cold today. Didn't switch it off. You see that? See the profile it's got? Yeah, so that's very detailed. And then there's other parts like, just be really careful with these because there's quite a few small parts. This is the actual propeller shaft, the drive shaft I should say, from the engine to the propeller. Again, some beautiful detail here. And then there's the little tiny oil tank that goes on the rear bulkhead. Very small parts, aren't they? Really nice detail. I'm going to pop them away because there's some parts there that are so tiny I'm not even sure what they are. I'm terrified of losing anything. So I'll pop those in there. Is there any more that I've missed? I think that's it. And what I'm going to do now, I think I'm going to shut my central heating off because it is rather noisy, I've got to be honest. It's annoying me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let you have a look at this just for a moment while I go knock off my central heating system. It is, of course, the next thing we're going to have a look at, which is the gun base set. So just bear with me a second while I just deal with my noise problem. There we go. All sorted. Sorry about that. I should really edit that out, but I prefer to just keep going, you know. So, what do you think about that so far? Because I think that these are really good. Now, I've got to tell you that I'm going to quote you prices that are they don't include when you look at this. You have to get this via Facebook, the Fischkopp website. Well, he hasn't got a website, so it's using Facebook. But the prices are in euros and they don't include shipping. So when I give you the prices, you can kind of trust me that they're thereabouts. But it worked out for me. It was something like I think it was about £110, and I didn't pay that. He gave me a discount, which because he knew I was going to review it, so I did get a little bit off. But the reality is, you're going to for the whole set I'm going to show you, came to about £110 for normal price, including shipping. It's a shipping quite expensive. It came out at over £20, I think it was. So just be wary. They're not cheap items. These it's going to cost you a few pounds, but when you see them, as I think you will agree, they are quite special. So I'm just going to very carefully put these away because it's important that we take our time here. Because I say it's a gift for somebody, and I absolutely must not damage anything. Just trying to decide which is the best way to wrap each one. Yes, it's, as I say, it's a cottage industry. There's quite a few people doing things like this now. The biggest challenge I think is finding them. Knowing who's doing what and how to find them. So I suppose that this is like a word of mouth thing. I think I found this by accident. Did somebody tell me? No, I don't think so. Or did I see it on the Interesting Modelling Company? Did they mention it? I can't remember. I think I found it by accident actually when I was looking up Kotare engines or something like that. I think I did a search and it came up. I think so. Anyway, I'm sure you'll agree there's some interesting parts there. It's going to be quite fiddly though. It's not going to be shake and bake and it's not going to be Tamiya. There's going to be some patience needed, I think, to manipulate and work with some of these parts. I think it's going to be a little bit tricky. Anyway, the person that I bought this for, he's probably got more patience than I have in fairness. I don't think he's going to have a problem with that. So, that's the first part. So, the second part is the gun bays. Now, I'm going to show you the, they're really just illustrations rather than instructions that we've got for this. And see what you make of it. So let me show you these pictures first. So, it starts off with this one. There's quite a few of them actually. I think I've got maybe duplicate set. It's definitely a duplicate set. And what we've got is basically the internal spars in the gun bay area, and it comes as you see it. That's that is one piece. Would you believe? And this is the beauty, isn't it, of 3D printing with such intricate detail. All of that is a single piece, incredibly. And then what you've got your 303 Browning machine guns, which are beautifully done. It has to be said, as you'll see in a minute. And you've got this is actually one piece which is actually missing in mine, but Chris has actually already arranged to send me another one. It's on the way as we speak. And this is the machine gun belts. Not sure where it went. It certainly wasn't here when it arrived. So whether he missed it or whether it's disappeared in packing, I'm not sure. But that's on the way, and this is very, very fine. I know he's had a bit of trouble with that because it's so small. It's tricky. These are the actual ammo boxes that feed. So imagine all your belts of ammunition are actually all fed into this box, and then they come out here, feeding into the gun. And there it is. In fact, you can see it there, can't you? So you can see that the way they feed in opposite directions just for reasons of space saving. So this is inboard, this is outboard on the wing. So that's what it looks like there. Now when it's actually assembled, the next one I'm going to show you is a different image, 3 different images. This is what it looks like when it's finished, and you've got your 303s then in situ. Just come back slightly. 303s in situ, you've got your gun, your ammo feed boxes and your belts all there. And then he's got a couple of sort of plan view. Here's the plan view, what it should look like. This is on the starboard wing. You see your feed boxes, I should say. And then a more detailed sort of 3/4 view. So it gives you an idea about the angle and positioning of everything. appreciate the light's not very good on this. I think there's a little bit of, maybe looking at some reference photos would be helpful as well, just to give yourself a little bit of a help. It's not the most detailed information from him in terms of instruction. It's a little bit, he hasn't actually done that yet, he was telling me on this one. But he's a bright guy, and he's definitely on the ball with the rest of it. I'm sure it'll come. And it gives you something else. Now when you see this, I said that when you've got that part that I just showed at the beginning, this one, imagine that it's just one piece. It's quite remarkable. Let me show you this now. So I'm going to zoom you in. Look at this now. The first thing that strikes you is that this lettering is actually laser cut in the cardboard, which is very cool. Gives it quite a rustic feel, you know. Then we have got a little box opening. This is probably going to surprise you the way it's presented, because it's almost completed in situ. The little bag here of parts, which come to in a second, and then a second one that repeats, basically the ammo boxes. And then he has actually presented in the box the complete assemblies, which is absolutely amazing. So let's have a closer look at this. So there's the starboard side. So you've got the tubes through which your gun barrels actually fit. Turn it around a bit, give you a little bit of perspective. Look at that. Obviously it's on a plate of where it's been printed on the 3D mounting plate. So you cut it off there clearly. You can see there where you're going to cut it all off. Yeah. Then you've got your machine guns, and you've got here, get a little bit closer for this I think. There we go. You've got your everything apart from the inner three on both sides are there. See that? And if you look at the barrel detail, he's done a really nice job with the printing. It's absolutely spot on. It's just quite hard to see in the light, and again, resin doesn't lend itself unpainted to being photographed very well. And then you've got the two outer, because I think they're slightly shorter. The two outer ones are the two there at the back in the middle there. Aren't they nice? And he's written it all on as well, so it's made it absolutely clear for you. So you've got your ammo boxes, and which guns they're for. So he's numbered everything. So actually, what he's done here is much more helpful than it seems by the photographs. When you see it here, it's pretty obvious exactly where everything goes. All you've got to do is follow that. That's really remarkable, isn't it? It's really well done. So obviously the proof of the pudding about how it all fits together, that's going to be tricky. You've got to feed these guns through these apertures here, guide tubes. And again, this is on the port wing. Isn't it amazing that that's all just one piece? It seems quite remarkable to me. Yeah, that's really, really nice. But I think it's going to require patience, and maybe some, let's say, reference photos. I think would be particularly helpful for this. I think. Yeah. So that's that, and then you've got here. These are the ejection chutes. Yeah, these aren't just the ejection chutes that go on attached to the bottom of the wing. Yeah. Ejection chutes for where the spent shells fly out, basically. And then there's another bag of them here. Open this bag up actually. Let you have a closer look. Yeah, there they are. Isn't that amazing? Incredible. So it's quite something, isn't it? It's quite you know, when you see it in the profile view like that, and you see all these spars that are supporting the gun bay framework, to think that's all in one piece, it's quite incredible, isn't it, really? So what do you think of that? I think that's pretty impressive, actually. I mean, he must be a genius with the computer-aided design, is what I can say. Either that, or whether he's actually had somebody else design it for him or bought it commercially online. I don't know much about 3D printing, you have to forgive my ignorance. But that is very beautiful, and you can imagine if you put that whole set together into your Kotare Spitfire, you're going to really elevate it to something kind of unique, because obviously the Tamiya Mark 9 doesn't come with a gun bay, even though it does have the engine. So you really would have something quite exceptional and quite different, I think, with that Merlin Mark 3 and all that detail as well. Quite remarkable. So I'll say it's around about the £110 mark. That includes shipping though, and that's based on the exchange rates a couple of weeks ago. Sort of at the around New Year time, basically Christmas New Year time. So that can vary. That price is not set in stone, and you do get these fairly rudimentary instructions. It's not. I don't think it's for beginners. You know, if you've wanting a fairly straightforward build, this is not going to be for you. It's really for the expert level master builder stroke entrepreneur builder. I think. Whether that includes me, well, probably not, to be honest. Because I didn't buy these with the intention of using them myself. When I saw them online, I thought, oh, I think I might find that a challenge. But the person I bought this for, he's got a couple of these. I think he's got all the Kotare Spitfires now. And I think, yeah, he might. You never know. He might just have a go at it himself. And if he decides not to, and he wants to display his engine separately, by the way, just tell me, because Chris has quite openly said, I'll replace that part if you need me to, it's not a problem. The one that's got the little stubs, one of the stubs is missing. But I say, if you're going to put it in the model, mount the actual engine in there, you won't need that anyway. So there we go. So it's just something new and something a little bit extra. It plugs a gap, doesn't it? It sort of solves a problem. Not very cheaply, it costs more than the Spitfire itself, but I suppose that's always going to be the case. There is quite a lot of resin there, and there is a lot of complication and time to print it. A lot of detail, fine parts, you know. Plus the design, I guess. So yeah, I suppose that's the going rate, really. I mean, if Christopher's company was here in the UK, you'd be looking at about 90 quid, I think. But I say the rest is really shipping. So there you have it. I hope you found that interesting. Something a little bit different. So that's the Fischkopp company. What I'll do, I'll put a link down below to Chris's Facebook page. I'm not on Facebook, as a lot of you know, but it doesn't matter. I can still put the link there for you to go on there. And he does other things too. He's got some extras for the Edward BF109E and the Lancaster from Border model, the 36 scale Lancaster. Quite a few extras around that. He's got, I think, Guy Gibson and his dog. Other little things that suit the Lancaster in particular. So he's got quite a few. If you're into the 132 Kotare stroke Border model kits, then he's a man you should be having a look at. Have a look at his offering on Facebook. Hope you found it interesting. Thank you very much for watching. Please give us a 10 out of 10. I don't know. I'm not going to give this a rating because I'm not sure how to do it. I've got nothing really to compare it to, so it wouldn't be fair. But apart from the little glitches with the damage in the post I think we had, apart from that, no, it's absolutely great. It would get a 10 out of 10 if I had anything to reference it against. But it looks really interesting, and he's been very, very helpful and given good service, I have to say, and good communication. So Chris at Fischkopp, if you're watching, I'm sure you will be, thank you very much. 10 out of 10 for you. And don't forget my gun belts. By the time you're watching this, I think they'll already have arrived, and I'm hoping that, because it's somebody's birthday, that he's going to have the whole complete set, so fingers crossed. Anyway, thanks for watching. Nice to see something a little bit different on the channel. I thought you'd find that almost something completely different, but not quite completely different. Anyway, I hope to see you again soon. Thanks a lot. In the meantime, thanks a lot. Take care of yourselves. Stay well. Stay safe. Till next time. Bye for now.